What is up, people of the YouTubes? So as you guys know, if you've seen any of my recent videos, I've been getting a lot of performance parts for this car. But before I installed all those, I kind of wanted to take this opportunity while it was still stock and while we were still making stock power and give you guys kind of a review, an overview, and my thoughts and opinions on the car when it's still stock. So if you guys are interested in buying a WRX, specifically the limited version, this video should help you out a lot. So basically what I'm going to do is go over the differences between the limited versus like the base model, what I think about the car, what I would change on the car, and kind of just give you my thoughts and opinions and a review. So let's get right into it. So there are a few differences that make the limited stand out a little bit over the base and the premium models. The first thing for me, and one of the bigger reasons for me buying the limited version, is the headlights. These come with an LED projector in the main, as well as brighter high beams. They also come stock with the fog lights and lower blinker, and then the sea lights on the limited version are upgraded, so it's a full bar instead of just a bulb like the other models. Other than that, on the outside, there's not a huge difference. You do get different wheels with the limited versus the premium. So that's what those look like. Now most people are gonna change those out anyway, so that's not a huge deal really. This car does have the Rally Armor mud flaps on it. I bought it like that from the dealership. It was secondhand, so that was already installed. Other than that, that's the only difference in the limited on the outside, as well as this small like trunk spoiler. I'm not sure if that's on the premium or not. That I would have to double check on, but that's kind of cool too. I mean, I think most people put wings on these cars, or you know, get an STI trunk or whatever, so not a huge deal either really. All cosmetic kind of stuff. Other than that, completely the same. So then we will take a look at the inside. Okay, now here on the interior of the car is where you're gonna see a big difference between the base and the premium and limited models. This has the full leather seats, so they're nicely bolstered. The stitching is really good, and they're heated for the limited model, as well as it comes standard with the touch display instead of like the analog knobs and whatever that are on the base models. And then there's just like some minor trim pieces that are a little bit different, like these have the chrome, you can see that chrome on here. I think the standard ones are just like regular black caps, whatever, no big deal. Other than that, pretty similar. Like, it's not a huge deal. The reason I got the limited was, one, because I was buying it secondhand, so I got a good deal on it, and I wanted this feature right here. Because I live in Michigan, heated seats are pretty important in the wintertime. So that was like the big thing for me for the limited. Everything else, honestly, is not a huge deal on this car, because so much, like, the reason people buy WRXs a lot of times is to mod them and to change them and to make them however they want them. So like, as far as like the headlights go, a lot of people buy the limited for that, but honestly, for like less than $200, you can open up your headlights, replace the sea lights, paint the interior so it's blacked out like the limited is, do whatever you want to it and make it like custom and it looks nicer. So it's not a huge deal really. I personally would probably buy a base model if I were to do this again, because of how big the aftermarket is for this car and how easy it is to like customize everything how you want it. You can even get like aftermarket seats and things like that if you're not crazy about the base seats. Like, everything can be changed. I mean, everything costs money, so if you have enough money, you can make the car exactly how you want it, no matter what trim level you buy. So don't worry about that too much. The next part is going to be like my thoughts on the platform and the engine and the clutch and the transmission and all that kind of stuff. That's what's really important, and that doesn't change across any of the model lines. So let's get into it. So hopefully this angle looks good for you. Trying a new setup like in the car, and I'm not sure how it's going to work out yet. We're giving it a shot. Let me know what you think about this this kind of angle and how the camera looks and everything. So you saw the walk around of the car and kind of some of the differences between the limited and the base models and everything like that. But now I want to get into what I think is important about the car, and that is like the engine and how it runs and why you should probably buy this car over certain other cars. So firstly, you guys know the specs, so I'm not going to get into all of that so much. Like, yeah, the engine makes 270 brake horsepower, whatever, all-wheel drive, everything like that. What's important is that right now my car has about 35,000 miles on it. I haven't had any mechanical issues. As far as like engine feel goes, it's super smooth. You know, it's Subaru Boxster engine, so you get that kind of Boxster noise. And some people are hit or miss on that. Some people prefer, you know, the more rumbly kind of V engine configurations, V6 and V8. I don't mind it. I mean, this car is quiet. This car is quiet. I'll roll in an audio clip of the exhaust for you right now. So check that out. Like, and obviously that can be changed super easy, so it's not like a huge problem. But if you're looking for something that's gonna sound, you know, like a Mustang or like a Camaro that you hear going down the road, the WRX isn't gonna do it. Even after you get exhausts, I mean, these cars can get loud, but you're not gonna get the V8 sound. It's just not gonna happen. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because speaking of Mustangs, there's one right there. Because the engine is awesome. Like, it's super smooth, it responds well, you don't have a ton of turbo lag, especially with the stock turbo. So it gets up to speed quick. It's not a slow car. Like, do you see a lot of reviews saying the WRX is slow? I mean, not really, man. Like, we'll do it here. So we're going 25, and let's get on it. Like, the car, I mean, you can't tell from the video, but the car's not slow. Like, it's a fun car to drive, and that's why you buy this car, because it has a huge aftermarket. You can change everything on it that you want to. Get left here. And you can make it however you want. So if you want it to be super fast, yeah, like, you can get an E85 flex fuel kit and get tuned and get all the bolt-on mods and do what I'm doing, and you'll make stupid power. By stupid, I mean like 350 horsepower to the wheels, which is not, like, that's not anything to laugh at. Like, that's pretty good. And your car is gonna be fast. Like, or if you don't want to do that and you just want to go, you know, more early 2000s Fast and Furious racer build and make it look however you want, and body kits and big ass wangs and liveries and you know, whatever else, then you can do that too, and like, that's cool. And everyone, so like, that's kind of my thought on like building a WRX. I know that's kind of off topic of what I was talking about, but I think it's important to note that, like, these cars are very versatile. There's a huge aftermarket. There's a million different parts available, and you can make the car however you want. And I think that's really appealing to a lot of people. It was really appealing to me. One of the big reasons I bought this car instead of some of the other cars in this sort of price range. My car came factory with the STI short throw shifter. So I can't really tell you how the stock shifter feels on this car. I heard it's not the best, to be honest, so a short throw shift kit would probably be recommended. Now, I can tell you that this STI short throw shift kit, I love it. I've never driven a manual car. Well, I never owned a manual car before this one. And this is one of the smoother transmissions that I've ever dealt with. The shifter itself is not cheap. but not like, it doesn't have that sort of gravelly feel to it, if you know what I'm saying. Like, everything goes into position easily, but you know, like, when you're locked in, if that makes sense to you. So it's got a really good feel to it, and it's really easy to learn on, really easy to drive. It's not a pain. I drive this car daily in a lot of traffic going to work and to school. So I commute into Detroit, which is, you know, not a small city. There's a ton of traffic all the time, and I never have a problem, you know, with the clutch or with the transmission in this car being annoying or being a problem by any means. Another complaint you'll hear from people that drive the WRX daily is about the seats. And now, like I mentioned earlier, this is the limited model, so it has the leather seats. But I believe that they're like a similar shape to the base and premium seats. So what I'm saying should kind of apply to both. I mean, it's just the upholstery that's different. I have back problems, like from playing sports my whole life, wrestling and rugby. I just have problems with my back not being very good. A lot of back pain. And traditionally, driving cars, after like an hour and a half or so, I would get pretty bad back pains, pretty stiff, everything like that. And honestly, I think these are the most comfortable seats in a car that I've ever owned. And that's like no bullshit. I think as long as you have decent posture, like as long as you sit up pretty straight and your shoulders are back, like, I don't know, I've driven this car, I think my longest road trip was like 275 miles. It was about like, I don't know, 4.5 hours or something like that. And it was no problem. If anything, like maybe my butt got a little bit, not sore, but you know, just like uncomfortable, like you wanted to get up and walk around a little bit. But I think that would happen even if you were sitting like on a cloud. Like, that's not a big deal. I don't think that's a negative against the seats. Now these ones are heated too, which I guess, you know, might help with the comfort. That was a big part of buying it for me, because we have pretty bad winters here in Michigan. So the heated seats were like a bonus for me, but not a huge deal, especially if you live somewhere that you don't have super cold weather. Not super necessary. This guy is slow. Now, I will talk about the fit and finish of the interior of this car. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. Like, I mean, it's not on par with BMWs and Mercedes and Porsches. It's just not. I mean, it's not a luxury car. It's not really pretending to be. I mean, the WRX is definitely marketed more as like a performance sedan. And I wouldn't say that the interior in this car is bad, but it's not perfect. I mean, there's occasionally some rattles, like from the vents and stuff. It's not, I mean, it seems like hit or miss, I don't know. Like, there's nothing going on right now, but occasionally you'll get like a random rattle. And that's not ideal. That's not like perfect. Like, basically most of the stuff that you touch feels pretty good. The head unit's not good. Like, I'm not gonna mess with you. The Starlink system just isn't the best. It's a lot better than the analog system that's in the base model for sure. But as far as like aftermarket head units go, it wouldn't be a terrible idea to maybe invest in one. The radio sounds decent. The speakers are kind of quiet compared to a lot of other systems. But again, this is all stuff that can be upgraded if you care. Why I think you're buying the car is more for the platform. You're buying it more for like the 4-cylinder turbo engine, the all-wheel drive, and the manual transmission. And those three things are perfect, like so good. And if you want to make them better, you can. So I think kind of how I'm going to wrap up this review is by saying I think the WRX is a good value if you're looking for a car that you can get into modding, but also it doesn't lose all of its practicality. Like, the reason I bought this car is because I could only afford to own one car at the time. So of course I would love to have a fast project car, rear wheel drive coupe, but I didn't have to care about practicality at all, and then own like a bigger car or an SUV or something, so that I can move my kayaks, so that I can take my dogs to the park, so that I have a daily driver in the winter, so it deals with the snow and everything like that. But for a lot of people, that's just not the case. Like, you can't do that. So this car bridges that gap. Like, it has a back seat, so I can take people places. I can, if there's more than just me and whoever else, if I have a group of friends, we can all go to the same place in the same car. That's really convenient. It's got a big enough trunk that I can take things places. I helped one of my buddies move, and we fit like 8 boxes in the back of this thing with the seats folded down. It's big enough that I can get both of my German Shepherds in here. There's available roof racks if you do want to take kayaks or bikes or whatever else anywhere. It's all-wheel drive, so you can drive it in the winter. That was a big selling point for me. Like, it just does a little bit of everything, and that's why I think the WRX is amazing. And if it doesn't do something that you want it to do, there's an aftermarket part that'll allow you to make it do that specific thing. So hopefully you got something out of this review and overview and my thoughts on the Subaru WRX. If there's anything specific you want to know or you want me to go more into detail with and need a question answered, feel free to drop it in the comments below. I read every single comment I get on my videos, so don't hesitate to ask me something that you want to know more about, or if you want, or if I need to make a specific video about something more in depth, I can absolutely do that too. So let me know what you need to know. If you were thinking about getting a WRX, I say do it, especially if it's going to be your only car. I think it's amazing. I think you'll really enjoy it. This is by far my favorite car that I've ever owned, and I don't regret it for a second. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any other questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments below. Otherwise, I will see you on the next one.